Did you ever think that we would be discussing cattle theft by deception in 2025? Like, I feel like
No.
that's an 1800s problem, not a current day problem, but
Okay.
it is. Okay. So, we've talked in the past about how more and more people are buying chickens to have eggs at home. Okay. Well, apparently, more and more people are buying cattle. Okay. And it's kind of unclear if this is a pet situation or this is like raising baby steaks until they become, adult steaks. But so authorities say a man offered cattle for sale. He made buyers pay a deposit and then he failed to deliver the animals. Okay. Now, victims say that the suspect, his name is Garrett Hill, also known as Jared Smith. And when they're known as, this has been going on for a while,
Yeah.
that he apparently advertised cattle for sale and he required deposits through the Cash app or an online transfer and then just never delivered it. And this actually happened in Georgia. Now, I'm going to go on a limb here because it was not super detailed. I'm going to say this is probably on Facebook Marketplace. Okay. Because I mean, there are lots of like rural areas in Georgia, so it's not uncommon to go on Facebook Marketplace. You could buy chickens, you could buy goats, all kinds of livestock there. So this does not surprise me at all. And there's actually a lot of cattle farms around.
Right.
But here's
Yeah.
the thing, this one appears to be about live cattle, but there's a big trend right now of people buying like a quarter of a cow or a half a cow or even a whole cow, where, basically they pay by the weight of the cow and then it goes to a processor. And then you get all of your meat products from that cow all ready to go in your freezer. Okay, that's
Right.
very, very common and it's actually growing. I read another article stating that because more and more people don't trust the food system and specifically meat in the grocery store, they're more likely to want to purchase this from a local farm. So I'm
Yeah.
not saying that this guy ran a legitimate farm, but I do see a whole lot more on my local Facebook where it's offers to where you can buy pigs and cows and you can, stock your freezer. So the Georgia Department of Agriculture is saying that Mr. Hill, that they know of at least 13 people that were duped by this scheme. And they're assuming that there's possible more victims. And some of these victims were not only in Georgia, they were as far away as Arkansas. Okay. And so what's interesting is that the Georgia Department of Agriculture wanted people to know that if you are seeking to buy cattle, you can buy them at auction, and that the USDA actually has a list of feeder cattle auction sites that are approved. So, in the future, if you are trying to buy live cattle, definitely make sure it is a USDA like approved farm that sells cattle. And if you are wanting to buy like a cow share, or because that's what they call them, like, you take
Yeah.
like a quarter or a half, go visit this farm. Make sure that it is a legitimate farm. Don't just put a deposit down because a lot of these things like Cash App and what is it, Zelle and, all these
Yeah.
things.
There's no purchase
Well, they
protection.
always tell you, oh, send it to us, friends and family. Well, when you send money that way, it's gone. If
Yeah.
you
There's
find
no
out it's a scam
recourse.
later on, if you didn't put that you were paying for goods and services, which does charge a fee to the person receiving it, you have no recourse.
Right.
And I would say you would be better off to go to a farm, pay on like a credit card that has fraud protection, get a paper receipt. And if any farm that has a problem doing it that way is not a farm you want to deal with. Because
Yeah.
if they're willing to cut corners in basically the accounting side of things, what other corners are they cutting?
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I can
And
see where places want to prefer cash just because there's no
yeah,
fees, but like if they don't have an option for you to purchase it, and even if you pay cash, you could still get a receipt. So,
exactly.
yeah.
Well, and anyone that's saying you pay now and then once it's fully processed, but you haven't physically been there, you know what I mean? Like, how do
Yeah.
you know that it's legitimate? Like around here, like I live like out in the country in rural, and we have deer processors because you have so many people that hunt.
Yeah.
Okay. And so when you go to drop off a deer, you pay a deposit on that. It's usually, $50 to $100. And then once it's fully processed in a few days, you come and you pick up all of your meat and then you owe the balance. And you're not getting your deer until you pay the balance.
Yeah.
And
So
so what
somebody go and buy that
happens,
deer if you don't.
yeah, because if you don't pay for it, they will then put up a notice, usually like once a week, saying we have 3 deers that were unclaimed. Well, you've lost your deposit and you've lost your deer, and they're going to sell it to somebody else.
Yep.
Okay. But so I'm just saying that if you're looking for like cow for a pet or, really fresh steak,
It's a
make
grass
sure you know
puppy.
what you are buying. Make sure that you are buying from a legitimate person. I'm sure that every single person that paid this, Jared Smith, Garrett Hill, especially if they're in Arkansas, they could have just posted pictures of Highland pretty cows with,
A little
some
flower.
flowers in its hair. Oh yeah, that's your cow. That's cow number 722. That cow doesn't
500.
exist. He doesn't own that cow. I feel like people are so trusting, but they're also so naive
Yeah.
that this is, oh, he lives just down the road in Fawning Rising. I mean, it's like,
Yeah.
if you don't know somebody personally, if you have not met them in person, do not send them money electronically for cows.
The things
Things
that
that
people
I never thought would come out of my mouth.
the things that people seem to trust when they really shouldn't, and then the things that people question. And I'm like, hold on. Like, it's all right,
It's
cool.
unbalanced. It's definitely, I agree with that. It's definitely unbalanced.
Highly unbalanced.
So let us
Get
know
your
down below.
cows.
Yeah, down below. One, have you ever bought a cow on the internet? Two, do you know where your cow is coming from when you buy it? Like, have you been to the farm? I'm just saying, like, does anybody else seem that this is kind of crazy? I mean, I get it if you're a city slicker, you may just think, oh, you order a cow and it shows up. But us folks out in the rural areas, we know that you better see that cow before you pay for it.